Ooh, we're live.
And we're back.
Hey. So, a couple things you want to talk about, huh? How you doing?
Good. I am enjoying the winter. I work seasonally, so I am just chilling.
Ooh, yeah.
Although we had a big snowstorm, I do snow removal, and that was a bitch.
Was it fake snow? Real snow?
Yeah, it was real snow. It was thick, wet, hard to remove, hard to shovel, hard to blow.
Bad on your back.
And I have a back brace now because I'm getting to that point where I got to really. I mean, you should do that at any age, but like it's as you get older, it gets.
Yeah, I mean, once you hit 56, you might as well put a back brace on. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, it works, but it only goes so far. So, but I survived that, and
So, like with snow like that, are you like do you like do like half a scoop and then shuck it? Or
no, well, thankfully it was probably like 5-6 inches, so it wasn't crazy.
That's a lot, yeah.
But it is, yeah. I mean, it is still enough to where, if I can push the snow, I have a snow pusher, which is kind of like a handheld plow. So it's a lot easier to just push it into like the grass or whatever. I'll do that instead of shoveling if I can. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, you just take it chunk by chunk and do what you can. I have a friend who lives down South Colorado in the area that probably gets the most snow, and he told me that snow removal there, which sounds insane, I could never do it. Basically, the snow piles up so much that when he'll do snow removal at an apartment complex and he's in between buildings and he's on a pathway, he'll literally have to pick the shovel, just one shovel load of snow, and pick it up and bring it to the parking lot.
Really?
Yeah, he told me that that's probably towards the end of the snow season or whenever the peak is, because there's nowhere to put it. Like you can't just throw it.
Oh,
There's
it's
nowhere
so high up.
Yeah, so you have to. Yeah, he literally. I'm like, and that's my limit. I can't do that. Props to you.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
fuck all that.
Nope. And the thing with snow blowers, any machinery, here's what I've learned. It'll make your life easier until it obviously fails, and then your life is extremely hard because you have a job to do that you intended to do with machinery, and you wouldn't have agreed to do it if you didn't have that piece of machinery. So you're like, even if the blower, for instance, isn't working, which is what happened on Saturday, like the half of the auger, which blows the snow, it spits it through the blower, wasn't working. So then that just makes my ability to blow snow like pretty limited. So yeah, that's just one of those things. I in my line of work, I like to not have to rely on machinery as much, but when it comes to snow removal, that's the one time that I have to. So
yeah. Well,
but it is what it is.
Is it all melted now or still around?
No, it's still around.
Yeah.
It's I mean, job's done, but
yeah,
it's usually in Colorado it'll go away pretty soon with the sun, but we got enough to where it's going to stick around for a little bit. And we needed it. I think we got almost 2 inches of moisture because it was rain and then it turned into snow, and that's why it was the wet stuff. But
yeah, we got a lot of that like a week or two ago. Ooh, good stuff. It was fun. Made snowman. Shoveled.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that is a good snow packing weather.
Yeah.
But a lot of people die shoveling snow. I don't know if you know that. A lot of old people.
I've heard that.
I mean, who knows if that's one of those case of the climate change situations, but um,
Climate change
just
induced death.
yeah,
Yeah.
just having those heart attacks in high school, kind of to get my drift. But I think
Yes.
it makes sense though, because an old person thinks that they're still independent, and then a snowstorm kicks in, and they're like, "Oh, I got this," and like, "No, you don't."
Right. Do you think breathing the cold air has anything to do with it, or is it just
Oh,
the exertion?
I mean, it could be a combination. I think it's like snow shoveling. If it's heavy snow or thick snow, like doesn't matter what age you are, it is tough work. I think
Mm,
it's just probably overexertion, but
yeah.
um, so when it comes to the things I was wanting to talk about, this is February 2024, and Colorado, Denver in particular, has been dealing with the migrant situation worse than any other city in the U.S. per capita, I guess, in terms of the amount of people who have come here.
Mm,
And it's definitely been something that has been on my mind because it's you can't avoid it. Like you drive down Federal, Federal. That's the
yeah.
big busy street right near our house, and pretty much every intersection, people run out and try to wash your windshield because they're not legally allowed to work. So that's like their way of surviving. And it really became apparent within the last like month or two, and it is like uh, pretty shocking to see that because I guess we've gotten 40,000 migrants in
Dude, that's a lot.
1 year.
Yeah.
Um, one
That's wild.
school doubled, one elementary school doubled its enrollment in a year because
Yeah,
it's all children of migrants, migrant children, and
migrants or illegals? Like,
illegals.
what? How do we want to call them?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll call them whatever. We can call them
I
illegal
don't really
migrants.
care. I
I
just
don't
don't
really
know.
care.
Like, when you say like the school system doubles, it makes a difference to me if it doubles because of migrants that
Yeah,
are
it
here.
well, I'll tell you, it's not because millennials in Denver are having children.
Well, yeah,
So, um,
no.
but yeah, so it is. I mean, they closed a bunch of schools in Metro Denver because of low enrollment last year, and now I'm just like, huh? Are you gonna reopen those schools, or what are you thinking here? But it's, I mean, there's just so many articles you see in the Denver Post, like Denver public schools $18 million short due to unexpected enrollment of thousands of children from migrant children, illegal immigrants, whatever you want to say.
I mean, are these kids vaccinated?
Yeah, I'm sure they're all.
I
God,
mean,
that's such a good question because isn't that yeah? Like we're not even talking COVID vaccine because I don't think that's
no, no,
yeah
no, because we're talking about
the
the
regular ones, right?
requirements
Yeah.
for vaccination
Wow,
up to
that's such
date
a great question.
to get into public schools.
Well, as we know, rules there's two sets of rules. There's the people who have been here who are citizens, and then there are
And
those people that
taxpayers, yeah.
yeah, the people that actually in theory are the ones supporting this whole enterprise. And then there are the people that just showed up and I it's one of those things like you're not trying to depersonalize or dehumanize people, but at the same time, it's like uh, there's a limit to how many um, homeless people you can bring in when you have a housing crisis, and
Mhm,
um, they're not able to even contribute or whatever. It's a whole set of issues, and it is I try not to think too deeply about it because it was keeping me up at night, and it seems to have the bus loads of people seems to have slowed down a little bit, but it is, I mean, so when you see the fact that so the city of Denver is like paying the migrants rent, these people's rent,
Okay.
putting them into apartments, and they're paying their rent.
That's city tax money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
Mhm.
how else we're doing it.
Yeah.
Where Denver's had a homeless, I mean, just like every other big city, we've had a huge homeless population increase over the last since COVID, really. But
Mhm.
uh, and I'm not saying that just paying for people's like home American citizens rent is really a long-term solution either, but it's a huge slap in the face to see people who have like they've been on the street, and lo and behold, they were probably born here and are have contributed something, or their family did, and they're just left to the wayside, homeless vets, whoever it is. But when people come in that haven't paid anything and literally just got here and they get the first class treatment, you're just like, how do you not feel a sense of resentment over that? And also, like, is this pure incompetence, or is this intended to agitate the population? You know what I mean? Like, what is
Mm,
the?
mhm.
It's hard to know because I think on a local level, it's probably mostly incompetence. On a grander level, I think that's when you get into the chessboard games. But
Mhm.
some,
But as far as giving them everything, that's I mean, that's wild. Like, what are
yeah,
they
I mean, it's either. So here's the
the
arrangement that
time
I read.
frame?
Either you get 1 month rent if you're able to get a job, or if you don't get a job, they'll pay 3 months rent. So not a really good incentive right there. Um,
Well, definitely wouldn't take the first job that came
no, of
along.
course not. But there's this thing called supply and demand, and when there's a limited supply of houses and apartments already, and now
Mhm.
you're as a citizen, like you're having to compete with um, the state just paying people's rent for. I mean, who knows how long that's gonna go on. I mean, but the mayor of Denver said that we have to. He said this in some meeting that all agencies across the city have to cut their budget by 10 or 15% this year to pay upwards of $200 million to deal
Dude,
with the
that's
migrant.
people's jobs and shit.
Yeah, well, that's
Man.
yeah. I mean, that's everything. Like, I mean, if it continues at that point, you're talking like, oh, 10 or 15%. Yeah, that was the good old days. Like, what are we
Yeah.
talking? We're talking half. We're going to be talking half the budget. I mean, and that's just like, I mean, this is the question that I have is we got 40,000 people in a year.
Yeah.
That's 1 year. Denver is about 700,000. So you do
Yeah.
the math on that. That's about 5%,
Yeah.
doing the math right. 5% of the population. And it's not just, people like, oh yeah, let's move to this city. It's like, no, like people who are unable to work and often are homeless, like you can't bring in this many dependents,
Mhm.
you know? So it's a very like it just feels like a power keg situation. And I don't see any end in sight in terms of the people in charge in Colorado, who are mostly Democrats and who have made their identity based on being sanctuary cities and no human being is illegal, whatever that means.
Yeah,
Like,
humanitarian, yeah.
we got prisons. Like, are they? Is there? What does that meaningless statement mean to you? Do you care to look at reality? Which will be a future show that I'm working on, because there's a shocking lack of people being able to acknowledge reality, and I don't know what the answer is. Like, how do you see this slow motion disaster in front of you, and you're just like, well, they're not going to do anything about it because they're attached to their identity, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, what percent are we talking, Is them normal people, quote unquote normal people, or is it just like the actual privileged? Just get there
Uh,
and sit. Is
you
it,
mean the
is
people that are
it den-
supporting these policies?
not the ones that are like denying reality. Like,
Mm.
is it 5%? Is it 30? Is it 50? Can't be 50.
Well, no, because there are people that are at least um, independent or conservative or whatever you want to say, who are like, when it comes to this particular situation, able to acknowledge reality. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
is it
But
just
if you're,
is it the people that are like, oh, yep, times are tough, but they're still buying those like $75 flank steaks,
yeah,
just like old times, or are they cutting back and buying cheaper shit? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because I mean that if anything, the grocery bill is like a sign that you can't deny reality.
right, yeah, and we all
um,
got to eat, so
yeah, I man
wonder.
of normie
It's re-
people. I mean, I would say there's.
it's anybody's
I don't know
guess.
if what's that.
It's anybody's guess. Like, I guess to try and figure it out, that percentage is just to be. I don't know how you'd figure that out.
I would say, man, it might be like 30%. It might be it's high because I think there's various levels of people who are literally just checked out that don't even care,
Mm,
um, who see reality but they don't even want to but they don't want to look at it. I mean, this is different. That's what I'm saying. Different layers of
hmm
denying what's going on or just completely demoralized and don't want to even talk about it. Um,
hmm
just want to veg out, which who doesn't? I mean, when you see the state of the world, like there's only so much you can go down that rabbit hole. But on some level, it's like, dude, I mean, I get it. Like we all have to have some form of amusement and distract ourselves, but like some people are living in such a fantasy world that it's like, dude, we're headed off a cliff. Like we need to change course somehow. And like they don't even want to deny that it's a cliff or that we're headed over there. Like, what is a cliff? All right, sure. Let's be Roadrunner. Why not? You know, um, it's a very hey, what's up, Gherkinator? What up, my brother?
Who dat?
I think that's fellow No Agenda peeps
Oh, hey, in the morning.
in ITM. We're just talking about the migrant situation.
Oh
If you're
yeah.
just checking in.
Like, how do you get a Bitcoin? How do you get one? What do you use it for? Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Chip people, huh?
I'm just myself. Like this stuff bothers me too. But I'm just like always like, am I over thinking it? Is it more than 5? If it's more than 5% of the population that just denies reality, then I think we have a problem. But you think more
Yeah.
than 30, like that just that's a huge problem. And like
Well, I mean,
going over a cliff, I remember we used to have this little portal, and I'm like older. I graduated in the late 90s, and it was like right internet, and like you could go online and post what you're up to after graduation. Where are they now? And like everyone's like, damn, and I said, oh, we're just slowly drifting, over the edge, over the edge. So I can I feel you with the going over the cliff feeling.
yeah, it's a very odd. I mean, we felt this with other things before, with COVID or, but I guess it's a little different because it's so in your face and it actually feels like an emergency as opposed to COVID, which was just government tyranny and not being able to do anything about that really, other
Yeah.
than just disobeying. But um, this is like an actual tangible humanitarian crisis that is, yeah, 50% or better. Yeah.
That's scary. I'm so afraid.
I mean, they had, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't, I wouldn't put it past the population to be that checked out. I mean, my personal opinion is Biden was the blue pill for a lot of normies.
Hmm.
And that, just reading the room in terms of most of the people I know who voted for him, who didn't like Biden, but wanted basically to go back to sleep. And Biden has been a blue pill where they, like, you try to even talk politics with most people, which doesn't happen that often unless you know that they're able to have a decent conversation. But
Yeah.
if you try, it's basically people are just, they're just checked out, you know?
True. It's
I
just
think
like
they're,
a lot of like, yeah, yup. Yeah,
yeah,
no, no analysis, no in depth.
yeah,
Well, there's
because
nothing to do about it though. What are you gonna do? Hey, let's go in on some ammo. You know, let's dig a trench. Like, what are we gonna do?
well, I don't think there's much we can do to the normie population, really.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, there's no
And
productive
then,
outcome.
and then that's really the feeling of helplessness, because you're at the, especially when it comes to these types of public policy situations with the border and migration, where you're just like, okay, this needs to be addressed by people who are living in denial, who voted for the people who are, I mean, either they're in denial or I mean they're culpable. They're not in denial. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so we're left to, like, I mean, I kind of see, I think we're going to be at a crossroads in 2024. Like, whoever wins this election, uh, I don't want to throw the whatever doomsday, or it's not doomsday, but like secession talk. But it seems like that could become a thing if,
Hmm.
either way, if Trump wins, there could be blue states that lose their mind and become the People's Republic of wherever. But if Biden
Yeah.
wins again, I could see Texas, especially, thinking about it, and having more political pressure. I tend to believe that it's all still kind of theater with the GOP governors, but
That's what it feels like. It's just all theater.
secession could also be theater too. That could
Right.
be part of balkanizing the U.S. into these different areas that,
Yeah. Economical regions.
no
Am I
longer
getting,
united,
am I
more
getting feedback
tension.
on there? Sorry. I'm getting feedback, but of my own voice. Is
Are
that
you getting it?
Yeah.
Ooh, it might be because I don't have my headphones in here.
It just seems very gargly. I don't know if it's coming across.
I try to turn my speakers down.
Word. Yeah, I don't hear it anymore.
Okay, that could be it.
Beautiful. You can still hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah. So where do you sit in this balkanization of America? You know, guys are gonna team up.
Oh God. Well, you mean in terms of Colorado, or?
Yeah. Location.
Oh, we're probably going to be in the
Kansas?
New Mexico, the Katie Dobbs
Right.
faction of.
Guess it'll be like the NATO against Texas. The Ukraine of Texas. No, you'll be the Poland of Texas.
My hope, I guess, we bought property in. Well, it's as rural as we can get while still being close to the metro area. My hope is maybe counties will secede, honestly.
Oof.
Or
Yeah.
at the very least, just like give lip service to the state and just go about our business and not listen to what they're going to say. And
That'd be tough
like,
though, because wouldn't those counties need militias?
What's that?
Maybe wouldn't those counties need militias?
Ixnay on the Alicia, mate. No,
Oh, am I not supposed to say that? Oh no.
not that I'm not a part of anything, but
Militia
I'll just
starts with
say the
M.
place for moving is
Mm.
very independent minded.
Yeah, you don't have to say where you're moving, dude.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
Just
I'm
say
not a part of
upstate.
anything.
You
I'm
live
not worried.
upstate.
Yeah,
Like,
upstate.
yeah. You'll still be able to drive into the city and bioscan your face to get in.
Yeah, yeah, they got all the license plate scanners already, so it's not. We're not going
Yeah.
off grid.
Speaking
Yeah,
of,
you know that might be required. Who knows? I mean, that there's any number of scenarios, but you know, we do have that Civil War movie coming out, so that'll be interesting to really relax. And
oh yeah,
you seen
yeah,
the trailer for that?
I did. It looks awesome.
It looks good. I
Yeah,
mean, it's really
that's really
frustrating
fun.
for me because I'm like, God, you fuckers had to have this come out now, but of course they did, and it
Mhm.
looks good. And I know the director. I think he did Ex Machina.
Yeah,
Um,
it looks entertaining, I guess, for a
yeah.
movie. And I'm not, yeah.
Although the part that I'm like, come on, guys, this is like the one thing, like the California Texas alliance, like that's how is that believable?
Yeah. Well,
That's maybe the one thing they had to, you know, make it not so true to life because that seems completely unbelievable to me.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, what are some of the issues you're dealing with there in the great state of Michigan?
Potholes.
Still fix the damn roads, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to see the thing with the fix the damn roads is they're fixing all the highways, which are federal, um, and bridges. We did our little Whitmer episode with bridges. I
Oh,
re-listened to that the other day. That was,
oh yeah, nice.
yeah, bridges are good metaphor. But yeah, the problem is the city roads are just fucking awful. Where all the cars are.
I do remember that.
They're bad. I mean, even in like Ann Arbor's horrible. Ipsy's horrible. You'd think Ann Arbor would be great, but no, their roads suck.
Mm.
Just bumpy and patchy, and you can literally like feel your suspension in the car degrading quickly. But seriously, there's quite a lot, and it's under the radar. Um, let's see, we've got the EVs, jobs initiatives.
Oh, there's some plants that are supposed to be built, right? Isn't there?
Well, they're just the World Economic Forum, like back in, I want to say like 2018, 2017, maybe even earlier, they designated Detroit, Ann Arbor, and Windsor as like future cities, and to have like kind of like an EV corridor. I don't know if that's exactly the name for it. Um, it's like automation alley. So they're doing like a lot of self-driving. We're actually like building roads, highways to like charge your EV while you drive on them.
I did see that. How much is it going to charge? What's the how long you got
Well,
to be on the road for?
I think everybody's just gonna go there and park. Because I don't know. I don't know. I've not looked at it at all. It just sounds goofy and it sounds boring. It sounds like it's not actually going to happen.
Yeah, it sounds like you'll be able to listen to half of a song more before your car gives out.
Yeah, it's like a
By
somebody read Robert Heinlein,
Oh,
and
was that in one of his books?
yeah, he had a bunch of short stories. They're just like, yeah, yeah, tunnels. He had tunnels in like a almost like a in the airports where you step on and it just moves you. People mover.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a
Wasn't that Elon's boring company idea?
yeah. He's probably a Robert
Kind of.
Heinlein fan for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than I mean, it's quiet around here. I know there's some goofy stuff going on. I just learned that the executive, legislative, legislative, and judicial. I'm not sure about Secretary of State. They're all immune from FOIA requests, so Freedom
Huh.
of Information Acts. Yeah,
Is that a Michigan state law then, or
yeah. It was prior. It was same in the prior administration. So Rick Schneider, the
Mm.
tough nerd, he. I don't know if he did it or if Granholm. I don't know. I don't know how long it's been on the books. All I know is that Whitmer campaigned on being transparent, and actually, I was listening to a Dana Nessel, who was our AG. She gave a speech about transparency and freedom of information, and it seemed like she very against the fact that they're like blacked out as far as that goes. I just know that the executive branch is in a lawsuit about it right now. But other than that, we're just waiting for Klaus to show up, tell us how to move about and what to eat. Getting that World Economic Forum headquarters built in Detroit, hopefully soon.
so you had sent that to me. Now, is that the world, like their new headquarters? Like they're gonna start
No,
having
just they're
meetings?
North American, so they're
The North
expanding.
American. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like they're expanding out. So yeah, that'll be their North American. So I don't know if that includes Mexico or is that central.
No,
So
yeah, that would include Mexico and
that
Canada.
would make sense why Windsor would be on their list of like future cities.
Yeah, not too far from his boy Justin up there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
And there is a new bridge being built. Speaking of bridges, so
exactly.
um,
So that's
man,
it.
maybe that connection there when the trucker convoy shut down that bridge. Um,
Yeah, they shut them down hard in Windsor, didn't they?
yeah, I it seemed like that was the one that they were really pissed about, and it makes sense for
Yeah.
commerce purposes. But
Oh yeah.
it's just funny. Just making that connection now that you're saying it blows my mind. So that actually is happening. There's the World Economic Forum is going to start, or is it confirmed that they're going to have something in Detroit soon?
I believe it's confirmed. There's a $6 million price tag on it.
Oh, cheap
I know, right?
for those guys.
I know. But it was our taxpayer dollars, so they're not.
Oh, great. Of Michigan's taxpayer dollars?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because we can get a lot of, Bill Gates private jet visits during the conferences, and prostitution goes up. So that's a good driver of the economy.
Yeah, and then they can say, well, Michigan taxpayers funded it, which if that's all they said, it would imply that we want it or we're even aware of it. So okay, so it says here's on a World Economic Forum website. You can't reject all them cookies. Okay. World Economic Forum to establish Global Center for Urban Transformation in Detroit. So I guess it's not quite a headquarters, but a Global Center for Urban Transportation headquarters in Detroit seeks to increase public-private collaboration. Fascism? Is that what that is?
That is correct.
Yeah, in cities. The center seeks to increase fascism in cities and advance more inclusive and sustainable models for urban development. So smart cities, I'm sure. When was this? This was 2021. So they're talking about unprecedented challenges from COVID-19 to climate change, exposing deep systemic inequities. Jeff Merritt, head of urban transformation, World Economic Forum. As we chart a course towards a more sustainable and equitable future, government cannot carry this burden alone. Increased public-private cooperation is essential, so fascism is essential. That's great. And Detroit is uniquely positioned to serve as the epicenter for this work, a hub for urban transformation and innovation that the world can look to for guidance and inspiration. So that sounds fun. Oh my God, they're saying here by 2036, out of every 10 people in the world are expected to reside in cities. Is it not that already? I feel like
I would think so.
worldwide that should be pretty close. Yeah. Okay, here's Gretchen Whitmer's little soundbite in here. Congratulations to the city. And I know I talk like that about her, but I mean I love her. I hope she runs for president. I want to vote for her to be president. Congratulations to the city of Detroit, and thank you to all the people who champion this iconic American city as home of the World Economic Forum Global Center for Urban Transformation. Michigan has led the way in bringing together public and private sectors to creatively solve issues from transportation to small business relief for decades, which she destroyed, by the way, in a whole matter of months, the small business relief. And Detroit is the perfect place to leverage that approach to improving urban living worldwide. Okay. So, fascism, sweet. Yeah, so that's fun. I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on surrounding that, but that happens to also be quite private if you can't FOIA your government to see what's going on and where the money's coming from and where it's going.
Yeah, and there was some issue in Michigan with being able to with financial transparency with the governor, right? And also, or is it just people in government in general in Michigan? Something like that. Wasn't that?
Yeah,
Was
she
that
also
part
has
of
a
it?
lawsuit against her, I think, for forming a government panel or work group, but kind of hiding it, like creating a nonprofit to where their financials can't be looked at. So what I'm saying is I forget what it is. Let me see. It's something like strategic development. It's probably related to all this innovation and partnership of improving urban living and being the worldwide example. I wonder if they're just going to build Detroit up and then nuke it. I just feel like that would be the Detroit way. Shit on them. But yeah, basically taking something that probably should be a committee with oversight and pushing it into a nonprofit so nobody has to really talk about it. So that might be what you're talking about.
Yeah, I just saw something again, a headline.
Yeah.
That sometimes, but
yeah, again, like what you're saying, these checked out people will have no idea. And those are things that maybe they should be thinking about, talking about. I mean, we should be talking about it more too. I should actually know it a little bit better. I'm just saying, I think there's a lawsuit out there. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Whitmer for president this year, I think.
it's not out of the realm of possibility.
No, and I think it would be the perfect choice for them because she's got that whole sexual assault, which that's how she frames it, sexual assault, but it was a rape. That whole situation that kind of got her into the spotlight.
Right.
And then that juxtaposed with Trump's, sexual assault allegations I think would just like really cement any like base that the Democrats have that might be wavering with Joe Biden. That would be a good way to like kind of congeal all the Democrat base back together. If she ran against Trump.
It is very curious that only Republicans are rapists to Democratic voters when Joe Biden does what he does,
I mean, they just don't see it.
Well,
that CNN or C-SPAN montage of Joe Biden,
right? They don't see that, yeah.
Pinching
Like Tara Reid,
tweaking.
Do they not know Tara Reid? Oh, you mean the girl that was in American Pie back in the day who was a party girl? No, the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
Who?
Sometimes I think
she fled to Russia.
things.
Wow, she must be an agent. Okay.
Like in the future, there's gonna be a pop star called Putin, just so that the masses kind of forget who Putin was. It's a good way to like whitewash history.
It's true.
Yeah, Tara Reid.
There's a couple other examples of that.
Great point. Yeah. Oh, there's tons. We could write them down every time they pop up.
Well, the Trivium is a rock band, not a.
There you go.
Critical thinking.
Exactly. Yeah. All these things. Obfuscation. But so they just don't see it. They don't see it. You can post it. You can point it out. They're not gonna.
Yeah, I did my especially when the vaccine passport and the mandates were coming down. I let it loose on social media, and it's funny. I still check and see sometimes oh, that person unfriended me. Wow. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
How do you know?
Most of the time it's people that I knew in college years ago that I had no relationship with.
All these people you should have unfriended with. They're never friendly to begin with.
Yeah. Why were you still hanging on? That's fine.
Yeah.
It's good that you saw my post at some point. But whatever.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you still go on the Facebook, but the what I've noticed, and this is kind of an aside, but Facebook, I don't know if it's this way for you, but it's mostly suggested stuff, like pages, and it's not your the people you're friends with for the most part. It's mostly just suggested stuff, all this. And I was thinking about that the other day because I'm like, oh, I actually think what's going on there is they're actually just, they're trying to get you to engage with other stuff and whatever. But I think a huge part of it, when it comes down to it, is just them hiding the fact that people aren't using Facebook and they aren't posting stuff that much.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And
I don't post.
No, I just don't think there's enough content on your feed from your actual friends to populate it, and so they have to just hide it with a bunch of literally 9 out of the 10 things on my feed will be shit I don't even care about. And
so what you're saying is Facebook has become the classified section of the internet.
Yeah, pretty much. If Marketplace is probably the most useful thing on there.
True. Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. But I'm kind of dovetailing there from my original point. I can't even remember what I was talking about.
This is a pointless podcast.
Yeah, it's fine. We're just shooting the shit, guys. This is the OG slow grift here. So if you're listening in,
if you're even out there,
thanks for tuning in. We don't have a plan for the most part. We're just catching up. I don't know. The last time we did a show was probably
May
4 or 5 months ago. I don't know. It's 6. Damn, is it that long?
I don't know.
It might be.
This whole year has been a weird year.
We went to a No Agenda meetup last week, and we've been going to this this bar in town for like over a year, maybe 2 years now.
Like
And we have
as
the
a
same,
meetup or what?
yeah, for the meetup. And we go there we'd go there outside of that. But we asked our bartender, because it's about every 2 weeks, the meetup usually, and we finally just asked them last time, like, hey, do you know like why we come here? Like what? And he was like, I don't, do I want to know? And like part of us were thinking like, oh, do you think we're like swingers or something? Because it's mostly dudes. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
But and then I guess he also thought like, oh yeah, a podcast meetup, like, so you guys all have your own podcast, right? Like,
Oh wow.
well, I mean, I guess I have a podcast. It's not very frequent, but it's out there. And then there was another guy, John, who does the Millennial Media Offensive. You might have been thinking of him too, but just one of those things where you're just like, we've been coming here for this long, and the guy's never asked us what it is we're meeting for. Like,
yeah,
because we're a large group. It's some random people sometimes, but
you think a bartender of all people would know it,
Yeah, maybe he just I don't know. I mean, he's a really good bartender generally, like really nice guy, but maybe he just didn't want to pry. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Or kept it to himself. Although when we were doing the meetup report, recording it, there was a couple playing pool, and they overheard some talk about the migrant situation, and the guy came over and he's like, "Hey, what is this meetup I hear about?" And we're like, "Oh, it's for this podcast where they talk about the media." And he's like, "What? They talk about how it's bullshit?" I'm like, "Hey, well, welcome to the meetup, sir. Like, you should listen to the show. It's kind of funny."
Perfect.
But it was one of those situations where, and it was a reminder of the fact that there are probably a lot more people out there who think like you do, and are just too afraid or isolated, or they just don't, they're not aware of all the other people who think like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, is the checked out weirdos? Is that what percentage of that is?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm basing it based on my social circle, both friends and family. But I mean, in fairness, maybe there are a lot of people thinking like, oh, I can't really talk about this, even with my friends.
Yeah, but it's like a mindset, right? Like, there's no right answer to it. But if you think it's 30, you're looking at the world a lot differently than if you think it's 2, Like, it becomes like urgent if it's too many people, then, and not saying that it isn't a thing. It's just, it's like the percentage of like psychopathy, in society. Like at 2%, 3%, it's not great, but it's rare that you'll find one. And if you do find one, then you probably, it's extra rare that they'll even have any, position to do anything in your life harmful anyway, unless it's like a doctor or something. But then if there's psychopathy in the population is like 7 or 8%, like that's a problem. But yeah, I don't know. That's good. I like to hear that I feel like most people know the media is BS, but like you're saying, it's just in your sphere.
Well, I think so many people, when we've touched on this in past shows, I think many people are caught in terms of knowing that it's bullshit, but not wanting to face that reality to the extent that they would actually do anything different about it in their life. Which is where what I term the purple pill kicks in, where they know it's bullshit, but they still want to cling to the matrix enough to like put it aside. And I've said this before, those are the most frustrating people, because it's like you see the problem, and yet half the time when pressed, you don't actually want to, you still want to deny that it's going on, or like, oh, maybe it's this, or like, oh, it's not, it could be that, or I don't, I mean, what are we, just the kind of, I don't
Yeah,
know if
you're saying like how they're maybe I think this is what you're saying is how somebody will see some bullshit somewhere applying a certain logical framework to see it, but then they don't apply that same logic to the other things.
yeah,
Is that,
right, like the same exact equation of like, oh, if they're colluding on this and they have these interests,
yeah, it's like
we wouldn't do it on
9/11
that
was
level.
right. Like 9/11 was orchestrated by the Jews or Israel, let's say. And but now all of a sudden, like, there's no possible way that 10/7 could have been orchestrated by Israel. I
Mhm.
don't, yeah.
Or like, man, I hate a classic for me, and this is not even this is not even purple pilled. This is full on blue pilled. But again, the breakdown in logic where all the anti-corporate people couldn't apply that to the biggest corporate criminals in the world, being big pharma.
Exactly.
Like that is the most, like, I don't know. I think people, compartmentalization plays a huge part in all this, which
Yeah.
is kind of a breakdown in logic, and it's almost borderline schizophrenic in some aspect, where, or just schizo, where you're living two different realities at the same time, to um, not have to face the fact that, like, oh yeah, there's a huge hole in my logic
Yeah.
that I'm just allowing, because again, I don't want the responsibility of having to do anything.
Yeah. It's great
I
for
don't want to be
it's great for an
anti-vax.
op. Yeah. Compartmentalizing is great for an op, but harmful for an individual.
Yeah, I think it's how most people deal with what's gone on with the largest psyop in human history that we've all lived through over the last few years,
Yeah.
where it
Well,
fades away, it's
yeah.
over,
Yeah.
pretend it didn't happen. There's nothing to worry about anymore. I mean, we're all tired of it. We're all tired of talking about it.
Oh,
But
for sure. It's amazing to me that like 10 years after JFK's assassination, like people just probably weren't talking about it too much.
oh yeah.
Like,
Well, you had two more right after that with MLK and RFK, so it was just like,
yeah,
they're
60s.
probably demoralized at the end of the 60s anyway. And then you had
Yeah.
Manson to just seal the deal on the hippie movement. Like, bye bye. Another op.
Paint a picture. Paint a picture. Yes. Yes.
Hey, but let's go to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. We killed all your heroes, but hey, we're on the moon.
And immediately after, we're just gonna kill a bunch of, Southeast Asians, and
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna keep
let a
doing
bunch
that.
of our folks die too. So good
They
timing.
gotta hype, man. I don't like it. Really was the golden age of psyops, like the late 60s, because they never really. I mean, the budget.
It's
to
like,
film that stuff, it just went away.
I
It just
don't know. I
doesn't
think the
hit the
golden age
same
is
way.
now, or the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, I just, when it comes to like
I guess I didn't live in the
pulling off
60s.
landing on the moon, I guess it's
Yeah.
just, maybe they did that, and they don't, Kubrick's not around anymore, so they can't really. There's a lack of competence, and it's much easier for shit to.
We put all our eggs in one basket. Oh, one
Oops.
guy. Yeah.
Well, we lost. I'd love to go back to the moon, but we lost that technology, and it's hard to build that back. My name's
Yeah.
Bill Gates, and I am a astronaut from. Did you get your vaccine before you go to space?
There's a lot of space viruses out there.
Jeez. Oh no!
Anyone still on the stream?
I doubt it.
That's fine.
Are we still here? I don't know. What the fuck happened?
Yeah, it's I ride the clown pill every so often, but I'm the thing is I'm not black pilled on all the stuff that's going on. I mean, you can't be. If you're black pilled, like, what are you even doing? That's it. Let's just give up.
If you're black pilled, yeah, what are you doing? You're worrying about wild agave plants and their disappearance. So let's look at this NPR I was listening to, All Things Considered, and I went on their website because sometimes it's like I hear them in the car, and then I get home, and I'm like, I want to clip that, and I listen online, and it's kind of the same segment, but it's kind of recorded a little different, and sometimes the things that I want are not in the online archived version. I just find that interesting.
So what, they're editing the stuff online is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. I think they have it all packaged prior, or they work on it, or they just re-upload a new thing when they're like, we should take that out, or whatever. I don't know. It's just, I would love to do like record it in the car and then go see it if it's the exact same thing. I mean, it's got to be, right? Maybe that'd take too much work. But I don't know how many people work for NPR. Jesus,
A lot.
I know, right? Like,
too many. Did you have a clip that you were going to pull up, or?
Well, NPR has 741 employees.
741?
Yeah.
That's not as many as I guess I thought. That includes all the affiliates? That's got to be more than that. It's probably the national. Right?
Oh, I would say you're right. Yeah, it's probably national. They are national. Yeah. Nonprofit. Man, the average employee makes $43,000. That's nothing. I didn't necessarily have a clip. I did have a segment because I noticed they can't go like 20 minutes without mentioning Trump.
Without mentioning Trump?
Yeah. And so they had obviously his trials. That's always, subject of, coverage. But they sneaked one in. They sneaked one in just to mention him. And it's, I'm going to play here. Share the screen so we can hear it. But yeah, they snuck them in. But they kind of did a side swipe. They got like a twofer. So they snuck in Trump and they went after Christians. So we can stop this at any point. You see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah, how Trump taps into Christian ideology.
Yeah. So here we go.
Interesting way of, like, not theology, but ideology. Okay.
Oh no! Look, they know everything. Sarah McCammon here. She knows Christians like the back of her hand. Now you'll find out.
On the day he was arraigned in Washington, D.C. on felony charges for conspiring to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election, former President Donald Trump.
Wait, this is what? On the day he was arraigned.
On the day he was arraigned in Washington, D.C. on felony charges for conspiring to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election, former President Donald Trump didn't mince words.
When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat them, you persecute them or you prosecute them.
That word persecution holds particular meaning for many of Trump's Christian supporters. It shows up in the Gospels, and it's critical to understanding Christian identity. To understand how the theology of persecution intersects with American politics, NPR's Sarah McCammon spoke with Canada.
So he just laid out that this word persecution is so important to the identity of Christians, not just that it shows up in the Bible, but their identity is tied to that. And I went to church on yesterday, Sunday. Did not see anything about persecution.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've been to church, but that wasn't a forefront of my mind when it comes to persecute. Like, oh yeah, Jesus persecuted. I mean, I guess, but
Well, he was, and then
Yeah, right.
so were all of his disciples, most of them, a lot of them. And I mean, every religion, I mean, the Jews are persecuted. The Uyghurs are persecuted. So there's a lot of persecution goes on with religion in general. I feel like running up against secular power. I just found it like a stretch to. It's like cramming a triangle peg in a square hole.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a dog whistle for Trump is saying that he's Jesus.
All right, here we go.
Persecution holds particular meaning for many of Trump's Christian supporters. It shows up in the Gospels, and it's critical to understanding Christian identity. To understand how the theology of persecution intersects with American politics, NPR's Sarah McCammon spoke with Canada Moss, a professor of theology at the University of Birmingham.
Being persecuted in Christianity because Jesus died in this unjust way, because the martyrs were executed. Just being persecuted is a sign that what you are doing is right and good, and that you have the support of God. And that means that this is a very powerful rhetorical claim.
I mean, okay, is that not Judaism? Isn't that? I don't know. What she just said about like being persecuted is a sign you're doing something right. I feel like is.
Well, don't the woke do that with like everything too?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it just wasn't, or maybe the being persecuted so much. Let's just take like in Nazi Germany, like persecuting the Jews doesn't make because there's nothing that they really stood for that's highlighted. They were just persecuted because they were Jews. So it definitely makes them feel like they didn't do anything wrong. Like they're just innocent,
Right.
But she takes it a step further that there's some sort of, well, it's in the title, ideology that makes you right if you're persecuted. I don't know. The way they started this twisting is just gets me off the beginning.
If Christians are succeeding politically, commercially, practically in their lives, then that's because God loves them and supports them. But if Christians are being criticized, if they're being unsuccessful, if people disagree with them, then that's also a sign that they're in the right. Because if they can claim that as persecution, that's a sign that God is on their side. And the problem with that and the way that that functions in Christianity, as opposed to other groups, is that a powerful Christian group that claims that it's being persecuted can never fully be disagreed with about anything, because disagreement is then understood to be a full-blown attack, a kind of religious war.
Wow.
Yeah. So do you know a powerful Christian group that you disagree with, or that's disagreed
Personally?
with? No, just personally, or do I don't know what she's talking about.
Well, there's so many different churches within Christian, like to use Christian as a blanket term is also not very good journalism
Well,
because,
she's not a journalist. She's a professor
well, yeah,
of theology. Yeah.
not very good at trying to discuss this issue in general, I guess, because there's I mean, we talk about Mormons there. I guess that, are you talking about like there's so many different versions of Christianity in terms of ideology anyway, I
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
where
And,
that just breaks down for me.
yeah. And aside from selling a book, like, and I see NPR do this a lot where they're they're bringing on this expert of theology, but they're trying to make a point about Trump without talking about Trump. So they're going to talk about Christians. And that's because the GOP base is Christians tend to be conservative, so let's attack them.
Yeah, a lot of inferences from all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also the way that she's describing, trying to say, well, if Christians, if they're doing well, then that means God is on their side. And if they're not doing well, that means
God
that
is
they're
on their
also
side.
right because they're being persecuted. It's like, wasn't that just, I mean, is that just using good, positive, like thinking? And it could be a connection, a relationship with God.
Right. And
It doesn't necessarily have to do with the religion itself either. Like
yeah,
that's,
and I don't
there's
know.
plenty of godless people that might be able to use that same device. I don't know.
And I feel like God's not on anybody's side. It's like there's a God there, like, I'm going to be on his side, right or wrong, right or wrong, you know? It's like,
Well, when you don't have a relationship with
yeah,
a god or
yeah.
God or anything in that way, then you're just left to interpret everything and not a very deep
No, people are on God's,
analytical way.
yeah, people are on God's side or not. God doesn't really pick sides, I don't think. Oh, but she as far as like blanket assumptions, she gets even better about it.
You really can't lose either way.
Yeah,
with
it's
that frame.
absolutely a win-win state of affairs. It really is sort of part of the genius of Christianity.
So that's why Christianity was created, so that all its followers would be a win-win, right?
The genius of Christianity.
Right.
How what college is this lady teaching at? Like,
Somewhere in
that
England,
is-
I forget.
yeah, that is beyond dumb.
Yeah, that's like the genius of Klaus Schwab.
So we've talked about this idea primarily as a theological idea, but how does it turn into a political idea?
So I think the first person to make it a political idea is a historian called Eusebius of Caesarea. He was a Christian bishop.
And this is where they get the emperor listening, because they're like, I've never heard of this guy.
He was part of the court of the Roman Emperor Constantine, who was the famous emperor who made Christianity legal and started to sort of Christianize the Roman Empire.
The first
And
Christian
Eusebius-
nationalist, you could say.
That is
I'm learning.
great. And Eusebius wrote this church history during Constantine's reign. And one of the threads that he decided to weave
Threads, shout out to Facebook. Threads.
Ding.
Liberal Twitter.
decided to weave through his sort of 300-year history of the church was that Christians are always being attacked. They're constantly being persecuted. And the reason he did that was that in his own day, there were disagreements in the church. And so Eusebius presented the people with whom he disagreed, the heretics of his own day, as the
Well, last time I checked, in the Bible, I'm not quoting it, But the reason Christians are persecuted is because Jesus said, if they hate you, they hated me first. You're not of the world. Therefore, you're not going to be loved by the world. That might have something to do with it rather than Eusebius over here creating it out of thin air. Just saying.
Being attacked. They're constantly being persecuted. And the reason he did that was that in his own day, there were disagreements in the church. And so Eusebius presented the people with whom he disagreed, the heretics of his own day, as the successors to the persecutors. And so he has this kind of polarized vision of the world that's very rhetorically effective. He can describe people with whom he disagrees as actually being like ravenous wolves attacking the church. And he does this to sort of advance very politicized church leaders. He does this to advance his own theological and political positions.
Do you think she could tell us what that is? His political position?
Yeah, I'm sure it's coming right up.
All right. Let's listen.
But he really lays the groundwork for how Christians ever since have thought about themselves.
Oh, no.
And now
All
let's
Christians.
move forward to the
All of them.
present.
Yeah.
Where do we see this kind of politicized?
Oh my God. Where would we find this? Where? Did we just not prime you in the beginning with the word persecution mentioned?
Go.
Rhetoric around persecution, when does it start to emerge as part of the American political landscape?
So to an extent, it's sort of baked into American identity when you learn about America
hold
and
on.
its history.
Hold on. American, are you saying that? No, you're not saying we're a Christian nation, are you?
No. Why attack one when you can attack all? My goodness.
Rhetoric around persecution, when does it start to emerge as part of the American political landscape?
So to an extent, it's sort of baked into American identity when you learn about America and its history. You learn about the pilgrims who came here fleeing religious persecution. But if you think about, say, just political discourse, it really sort of picks up in the 1960s when evangelical Protestants began to see themselves as persecuted because of the rising tide of cultural movements that they saw as antithetical to Christianity. I'm thinking
that's the trope, right? Like Trump has all this evangelical base, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just tie it into the evangelicals to then we're going to swing around to Trump, obviously.
Feminist movement, the kind of secularization rise that you see in the 1960s.
The sexual revolution.
Sexual, not secular, lady.
In its history, is persecuted because of the rising tide of cultural movements that they saw as antithetical to Christianity. I'm thinking feminist movement, the kind of secularization rise that you see in the 1960s.
The sexual revolution.
The sexual revolution,
We know
all of
what's on
those
your
kinds of
mind.
things, women
Right,
working,
right.
rising divorce rates, etc., etc. And then the 1970s, you see the religious right concerned about prayer no longer taking place in schools, about the Bible not being read in schools. And to the religious right, that felt like an attack. And that has only gathered increasing amounts of strength through the 1980s into the present when you think about things.
Well, she just skipped like 30 years there, bro. Into the 80s, gathered
Get to
strength.
the point. Get
Right
to
up-
orange.
Things like LGBT rights and similar movements.
What?
These
What
are
about the
construed as
Q?
attacks on
Bitch.
Christianity as a sign that America is sort of moving away from her supposedly Christian roots.
Oh,
When Trump supporters, particularly those from a
Wait, I thought it was
Christian
baked in.
background.
That's how it's supposed
And
to
similar
supposed. No, it's not. It's sort of baked in.
basically baked in.
Yeah.
movements, these are construed as attacks on Christianity as a sign that America is sort of moving away from her supposedly Christian roots.
When Trump supporters, particularly those from a Christian background hear him say he's being persecuted, he's being attacked. What do they hear in that?
What did they hear? Ask this lady over here. Don't bring on somebody that
Yeah, what did they?
that have insight into what did they hear.
Interpret it for us, please.
I know.
Christian background hear him say he's being persecuted, he's being attacked. What do they hear in that?
When they hear Trump talk about how he's persecuted, if they're already supporters of his, it's a familiar cry, one they've heard from the pulpit on Sundays. They identify with him because of it. And they start interpreting criticisms of Trump through that framework. And that means, for example, that when he gets indicted, as he has been, that just serves as evidence that he is being persecuted. So it's win-win for him. It's like a dog whistle. They hear him say that he's persecuted. They know what that means. They know how unjust it is. However legally justified any of these cases are, there is a substantial proportion of his supporters who will believe that this is nothing other than a crime against justice. For Trump supporters, these indictments are crimes. They are crimes of persecution.
What if you're not a Trump supporter and you believe these things?
You believe what particularly?
That it's like an attack on justice, that
Oh,
he is
would-
being persecuted.
That's impossible because you are a Trumper.
Okay, just
What do you
checking.
mean? We know what they believe, and that's what they believe, and as a result,
When they hear it, and if they're a Trump supporter, then it's amazing. I don't know. Let's play this.
That's fascinating.
Well,
I'm
hold on,
thinking
yes.
about that, and it's something that I've thought about and written about as well. But the reaching the apex in a way of
Oh.
political power
Yeah.
is not any kind of cure for the sense of persecution, it seems.
I think that's exactly right. It remains a really valuable weapon in the rhetorical toolbox that you can bring out if you're being disagreed with. If you think about the number of times that President Trump claimed that he was attacked during his presidency, to say nothing of right now, and the exaggerated claims that he was the most attacked political leader in history, which you can imagine Julius Caesar might disagree as he was murdered by.
Yes.
yeah, it's a very relevant comparison to make because there's mass media back then.
Right. Exactly. Good point. It was.
Also,
We
in the
don't
same
know.
way to compare.
Oh, so we're gonna bring in some random historical, like you're saying, some random historical figure that you've never heard of, but is going to give credence to everything that I'm going to say because it's going to feed your ego that you learn some new factoid that is really the key to why the dog whistle that God, what a fucking train wreck this is.
Yeah. Well, if this was fundraising season, they would end this segment by saying, "I bet you didn't know who Usitis was. Aren't you glad you know that now? And
Oh my
guess who
God,
taught
yeah.
you that? NPR. You wouldn't have learned that little factoid anywhere else.
I have to give you props for your amygdala strength in continuing to listen to this. I don't know how you do it. Like it is a gift.
I straddle, my friend.
you do a good job because I
worked that out. I worked that out. I listened to nothing but Sean Hannity for a year on the radio, mind you.
Oh boy, yeah. I used to, yeah. Back in the day, I guess I did straddle a little more. I'd listen back when I was voting for John Kerry. I listened to Michael Savage.
Nice.
God,
Yeah,
that guy's
he came on right after Sean Hannity.
what the anger that guy had. Whew.
Yeah, and I hated to listen to that. It was a hate listen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what I was going through at the time. I just forced myself to listen to it. And I always used to, and this is probably around the same time, John Kerry. Yeah. And I tried to listen to NPR, but I just always felt like I wasn't smart enough to understand the appeal. My friends would be like, we just donated to NPR, gave $100. We make maybe 175 a week. And we got a double disc CD. It was great. And I'm like, damn, man, I wanna do something meaningful with my life like that. And I just could never figure out what the appeal was. Other than, man, back in the day though, they had some great music on late at night. I don't know what happened to that, but they had some good Detroit station.
Our public radio music station is absolute trash. It went.
We're out there in Denver.
Yeah, it went corporatized big time.
Yeah.
Or at least, playing the same playlists from all but they claimed that it's music discovery. It's this weird form of gaslighting they're doing, but it's kind of a reflection of NPR doing the voice and giving you some random information that you can pass off at a cocktail party so you can. Does anyone actually talk to each other like this?
I know. It's always like one little fact. It's like a conversation starter, they give you maybe conversation starters. Like, did you guys hear about all the wild agave plants? That mezcal that you're drinking? It might not
Was
be
that
here.
a segment too?
Yeah, it's like right under this one. It was actually kind of sick, and they framed it like obviously appeal to their listeners, who you can tell they're like, well, mezcal wasn't really popular until the pandemic when people could go out and buy liquor. I'm like, what? Oh yeah, that's right. Only liquor stores were open back then, you fucks. And just people getting into like, oh, look at my whiskey collection, man. Like I didn't become an alcoholic during the pandemic, but I became like a connoisseur. I really dove into whiskey, and all the flavor and the palate. I expanded my palate during COVID. And now we're gonna drink some $120 bottle whiskey, which tastes like wild turkey. So
I'm myself never been a whiskey guy, but that's
you're not a cognac person.
not really.
Get the fuck out of here.
Maybe.
I mean, that's what the real people drink. I mean, you might as well listen to NPR, bro. Drink some mezcal while you're at it. Whiskey. And no bourbon. You don't like
I'm
bourbon?
more of a brandy man myself.
Ooh, I like brandy.
Where's the brandy local branderia? What do we call it?
I mean, there's a market for it once all the mezcal disappears.
Right. Is it because of climate change, or is it because
no? There's just like there's just the demand.
Yeah,
all the hipster demand during the pandemic.
No, that's actual. That would actually be based on reality, but
is it though? Is it?
Yes, man. And unlike whiskey and vodka, man, like agave plants take like decades to flower, man. So once you cut down one, you can't just like regrow it.
Does anyone have a large collection of Ukrainian vodka that they stocked up on when all that bullshit was going down?
Ooh,
Like we're getting rid of
our Russian supply over here. No more Stolichnaya. Let's get what? Some trash that we threw out because we're idiots.
Zalotsky.
Like quality. Schlotsky.
Zalotsky.
Oh, Schlotsky.
Give me that Zalotsky batch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of what's on everybody's mind at NPR, yes, I'll donate. Were you expecting a paywall? Not our style. Okay. Ooh, is that what? Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? What was it? All Things Considered? Is that Culture? All Things Considered. Those would be probably yesterday. Did we just listen to All Things Considered?
Yeah, I think it was
shit.
a segment.
Fuck. Stupid. Fresh air. Previous shows. Can we go back even more? I don't know. Ooh, Margaret Mead's influence on the psychedelic era.
Ooh.
Okay. Wow. No, there was maybe it's the show archive here. Oh. It was a wild story. Yeah, let me see if I can find it first. Racism in medicine. Talking Secession. They love that show Secession. It was a good show, I thought, but they're obsessed with that show on NPR.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I've never watched it.
There's Kara Swisher. She actually does like a podcast about it. I think it's Kara Swisher. Oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna have to go in here. NPR masturbation. Here it is. Masturbation abstinence is popular online. Doctors and therapists are worried.
Why are therapists worried?
Because maybe
How are they involved in this?
Maybe the more you masturbate, the more fucked up in the head you are. And therefore you need therapy. And if you stop masturbating, but it's like, this is look at your symbolism here. It's like you're watching some porno and then you have red pill, blue pill over here. You see that?
So it's another one of those working out is a sign that you're far right kind of thing.
You guessed it. It's so transparent. It's so easy. Yeah. And then you have like,
what's up with? Sorry, where's that shadow coming from? All right, I know it's
yeah, right.
Draw you in.
Oh,
did you see that? What was the? And this is just crazy, but not really. The Project Veritas, where they interviewed that guy who said that porn companies are trying to make guys gay. Did you see that?
No.
We should try to find that.
Yeah.
Because I don't quite like what's the what would be the agenda there?
Wait, what do you mean?
Why would they want to turn guys gay? Less families, less people.
Yeah, controllable pops. Depop the testosterone pop.
Yeah, I guess it just feminizing in general to reduce your testosterone. I don't know if turning gay is a. But I mean, how is that even possible? Because you born that way, or are we not going on that assumption anymore? Or identity. I mean, I know this is probably a deeper question than we can answer here.
But well, I mean,
that blew my mind. I know.
Really,
look it up. think it was James O'Keefe recently. I'm not sure.
Okay, so it wouldn't be Project Veritas.
It might be OMG.
Is this how you spell his name? James O'Keefe.
O'Keefe Media Group, whatever.
Oh yeah, the OGM. Eric Weinstein and LMAO. Antifa porn presser.
No, this is from the Young Turks. A lot of straight men watch gay porn.
What? Isn't all porn gay porn? I mean that could be an argument, right?
I guess, yeah, it could be.
Homosexuality is not about survival. Antifa porn presser, that's from 6 years ago.
Of course it's not on. Why am I even trying to search on YouTube?
Yeah, I don't know. I am too, though, just so you don't feel bad.
Oh, we are on YouTube right now anyway.
Right, yeah. This is shout out YouTube. Yeah, I don't know. So the guy was from Pornhub, I'm assuming.
I believe so. Now I'm like, did I swear to God, this has been memory hold now, and I can't even find it. So now I'm gonna feel crazy about it, but I don't know.
Well, don't worry too much.
Maybe it wasn't James O'Keefe.
Man, who wants the cheddar?
There's too many random articles around here. Yeah, well, that's funny. I mean, it brings up another point of inversionism, where something that like the nutrition field is attracting a lot of anti-vaxxers, or trying to associate something that would be beneficial with being something you don't want to go down.
Yeah.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. Thinking has been associated with far-right tendencies.
Yeah, and it's just so creepy because, like, it kind of gives away, like, it kind of confirms, like, a lot of conspiracy theorists when you, like, kind of oppose some, like, pretty common sense things. Like this urologist in this NPR. It's like, I've seen claims on social media saying that semen retention can boost your testosterone levels, cure erectile dysfunction, make you more manly, make you stronger, cure depression. I mean, these are things like ancient Taoists have been talking about for millennia, dude. You know? And this is like a Ashley Winter, a urologist who has been publicly critical of no-fap ideas. And so it's not even a male urologist, it's a female. Like, you know, since when do women get to talk about men's, you know what I mean? Like, they would never, you can't talk about a woman's body if you're a man. So what do you?
Yeah, there's too many examples of.
Wow, yeah, I know. Just fucking bitching about something that's so obvious.
Therapists are concerned.
Therapists are concerned, my friend. Doctors even. Like, doctors are not concerned about, like, people that masturbate. Like, if we checked, the amount of views on Pornhub per, like, why isn't that the topic? Like, here's, 100 million people watch Pornhub a day. Here's what it could be doing to your body. Jerking off that much. You know,
Yeah,
it's just like the idea of like the dark web being out there, like the deep dark web, the basement, the bowels of the internet. Where is that? Like, how do I get there?
yeah, it's funny because there's so much that is probably going on the internet that you don't want to know about, but then
Absolutely.
also the idea of all that stuff is a psyop in and of itself in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a double-edged sword because on the one hand, you don't want to be totally oblivious to it, especially if you have kids. But on the other hand, and obviously human trafficking, child trafficking, all that stuff's very real. But a lot of this stuff does bring me back to that Bill Hicks bit where he's talking about how the media is always like, "Oh, war, recession, AIDS, death," and then you look out your window and it's like, I mean, this is crickets, man. I know what's going on, but
Mhm.
if all of the worst stuff of what's going on Earth is in your mind, like it's right next door, it's like, what does that do to your psyche in general?
Huh.
Like to having the ability to learn about all this evil. In some ways, it's beneficial, but it comes with a cost if you can't walk that line of knowing what is likely to happen. But you don't want to be la-di-da and think, oh, I can just walk down a street like it's when I was growing up, and it's the same street.
Yeah. Man, yeah. I want to know, like, if you're talking about like something like anti-masturbation being a far right, ideology or connected or associated, then are you advocating for more porn watching? Like, what exactly is the stance here? You know,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where they don't even have. Do they even know what their position is? Like they
I don't
just
think they
know.
care. It's a half-hour segment, so they've got it. It's not like one of these like 8-minute like here's a quick attack on Christians, and we'll frame it. We'll make it concise. We'll frame it up so it doesn't sound like we're attacking them, but we're planting the seed. But then this one's a half hour, so they got like special interest stories. They've interviewed people that you know have tried no fapping. They've tried not masturbating, and it just made their life worse. Probably, I'm sure that it's in here. Like,
Well, they could have. It could be a case of them having maybe the same big foundation grants or donations are from certain interests that may be connected to the porn industry, or
okay,
maybe the same industry that is promoting. It's not prostitution; it's sex work.
and if
Because
yeah,
if they
and if
don't give in to those desires, then maybe they won't pay for that industry to continue.
right, and if they are trying to make more men gay, then we can't have like anti-masturbation. you know.
Yeah, it is a.
Wait, you're in the article. Here you go. In the meantime, Jack said that he became interested. Wait, no, Jack. Let's find out who Jack is here. Porn addiction. Let's see. He was on ADHD meds. He went off them. Because he realized that it was the ADHD medication that had caused his erectile dysfunction, not pornography. He said he was an insecure teenager when he found the NoFap subreddit. He said it seemed to be everywhere in men's self-help spheres. He says he now believes his porn use was normal, not out of control. After an early success with the reboot challenge, Jack says he tried to abstain from porn probably more than 100 times. That's fucked up. But his porn use was normal. It was so normal he tried to abstain from it 100 times.
Yeah,
Like-
I've tried to quit doing drugs like over 100 times, but it was pretty normal.
Yeah. He said he would spend hours every day thinking about how to avoid masturbation. Like, maybe if I take the garbage out and then I bring it back in and then I take it out again and I keep doing that, I can stay away from my dick. Okay. And in the meantime, back to the article, Jack said he became interested in dressing as a woman. Jack does not identify as transgender and uses he, him pronouns. He interpreted, porn's not making us gay, my friend. He interpreted his change as something porn was doing to him based on what he'd seen on the NoFap subreddit. So he didn't really interpret this. He was influenced by the subreddit. The common themes, quote, were porn is turning me gay, or porn is making me cross-dress, or porn is making me want to be dominated, or porn is making me like transgenders, Jack said. The NoFap website's page about pornography addiction says using porn will drive people to more and more extreme fetishes or kinks.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
I mean, they've got, I remember back in the day, it was just like some like VHS.
Oh yeah.
It was just like a dude and a woman doing it. Like, they didn't always show it, but I mean, now it's like pretty wild, right? I don't know. I don't look at porn, but you know, these days.
Yeah, we all had our phases, you know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like 20 years ago, it was pretty fucking fucked up.
Yeah,
like,
it's
internet stuff.
Well, it's a further like normalization of stuff that, you know, hey, we've normalized this. Like, all right, that's boring. Like, well, if you think that's boring, then what is it that like what is it you're doing here? You know, like you're just it's not just about getting off. It's like pushing the boundaries for some reason that like you don't even understand what you're doing there.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's it is a that's a hilarious article.
It's long.
That's just like everything else they do is just to like I don't know. You know, what I would get the impression of is like NPR wants you to keep doing it.
Well, it's like they have like some very intentional writers, and then they just have script readers. Because this is. I mean, I don't even think that the interviews that they have, like the people talking, because this is what I'm reading from an article, and it's long. And then, but I'm thinking about like the show, and I mean, here's the people that go over it. Like, I probably can't hear that. Hear that?
No, I can't.
Oh, I gotta share this again.
We'll discuss intimate sexual behavior.
Oh my God.
It turns out on the internet, a lot of people are talking about masturbation, more specifically about abstaining from masturbation. According to a study done by urologists in 2022, it's one of the most popular men's health-related topics on social media. They found the topic had 1 billion impressions on TikTok, over 1 million Instagram posts. But
Shut
the
it
thing
down.
is, none of the posts the researchers found came from actual doctors.
Oh,
And if you go searching for more information, you can very quickly find yourself in communities that are rife with
why is
medical
this music so
misinformation,
fucking loud,
misogynistic
dude?
posts. Communities that some researchers worry could be recruiting grounds for extremists. Today on Consider This, NPR's Lisa Hagen is digging into this subculture, where it came from, what everyone should know about it. She talks to NPR's Aisha Roscoe about what she learned about the phenomenon known as NoFap.
Sorry about that music. That's their fuck up there.
Hey, Lisa. Hey, Aisha.
Hi.
First things first, for our listeners who may not be on these corners of the internet, and I didn't know about this, what is NoFap?
So the word fap is an onomatopoeia spawned on the internet, and
So those are your two people talking about it. Someone
Yeah.
who uses the word onomatopoeia.
They sound as knowledgeable about male masturbation, no fap, as the people saying, what are those Trump voters hearing when they hear that?
Right? Are they just doing this because they're like, well, those Christian conservatives can talk about our bodies. Our bodies. So we talk about them. Yeah, but then it's just those two reading the script, reading this long ass paper that somebody wrote. And I don't think these people are real that they've interviewed. I don't think Jack's real. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do a whole show on. I mean, what that came out today. Yesterday?
Recently.
Yeah.
This came out on February 3rd, yeah. So
I'm honestly surprised that No Agenda doesn't do more. Maybe I find NPR, it's way more on the tip of the normie intellectual thought process than, to me, the 3x3 they do, ABC and NBC, CBS. That's like, that's like the boomer mindset, but like millennials are Gen X, millennials, Gen Z.
this
We're
is
not
driving
watching
culture.
that shit.
Yeah.
Like NPR is where people our age who want to pretend that they're getting informed or believe they are. Because I mean, you get shit like that. That's just came out yesterday. I think of when I saw the date. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, maybe we should look into that a little more.
Yeah, I mean, start working out your amygdala, my friend.
Yeah, well, I've been off Twitter, so that's I don't know if that's. I think that's helped.
Being off or on?
Well, see, that's the hard thing, is like being on was just inflaming it. I was giving into the reaction. And then I tried scrolling and not reacting, and I would just not be responding, but I would still be reacting in my head. And I'm just like, I just need to get off this. But I guess if I went into listening to NPR with that mindset, it'd be a little easier, maybe, than Twitter's just Twitter's overload, just because it's like too much all at once. But
yeah, like all things, if you go on hunting or trying to dig, mining, if you go into these situations trying to mine something, then I think it all becomes about like whatever you can extract. And it's like cold calling, like you're not to a normal person, like cold callings can be like you're gonna have an emotional reaction when somebody tells you to fuck off, or somebody talks to you for 10 minutes and then it's like, yeah, I'm not interested in anything you're offering. You'll have an emotional reaction, but the more you do it, the less it matters. It's all about what you come out of it with. It's kind of just maybe some thoughts about that, working your amygdala, because it can get really stupid. It can get really fucking stupid.
Yeah, well, our amygdalas will be challenged this year, I'm sure. So
Oh yeah.
maybe we should dive back in a little more and get it out in these shows we do here.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing, to the Trump trials.
Well, it's a podcast now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. NPR.
The Trump trials. For all those people who hate him so much that they need to obsess about him every second of the day.
I don't even know who does this.
I don't.
They do a bunch of guest hosts. Mary Louise Kelly. It's a team effort, bro. Steve Inskeep. All right. Scott Pro. Ari Shapiro. They're all in on it. They're all doing the Trump trials. Nice.
Oh, you're being serious? You're looking at this?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. Yeah, we got different. Well, they have guest hosts in the latest episode of Georgia on Our Minds. But the one before that was Mary Louise Kelly, Steve Inskeep prior, Scott Detrow. I don't know this guy. Ari Shapiro, very interesting character.
I mean, Trump's first day in office, he should just shut NPR down. No, I'm just kidding.
It's national, right? He should. It's a big waste, dude. It's a big waste.
Oh God, yeah. It's just
It's
polluting.
only 740 employees. Big deal. I don't know. That's a discussion for another day. State-run radio. State media.
Yeah, it's all public-private partnership bullshit anyway. So
Yeah, that all needs to go. Yeah.
Don't hate the media, become the media, as it were.
Yes. All right, my friend.
Yeah, this has been good. We'll reconnect soon. Hopefully, a lot sooner than last time.
All right. For sure.
All right.
Bye, y'all.